Well, greetings and welcome. This is K9. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, it's good to see you again. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at my top 10 tips for Assassin's Creed now that I've been in the game for 100 hours plus or so. And I'm going to cover some things with you that I wish somebody would have told me when I got started. So, here we go. Okay, when you get ready to go into a new area, one of the first things I'm going to be looking for is this stuff, okay, which is what we're going to cover as a topic. I'm going to uncover that map and then figure out where the nearest ones are. Wow, it's way up there. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that my first order of business, because if I need to get to this zone on the south side, I have this one here on the south edge of this zone. And probably when I get into the city, they're going to give me one for Central City. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ride straight through this area. Probably going to follow the road. Looks like there's some mountainous area in here. And I'm going to go out here into the bay and pick this. But here's the thing about that is my Senu, oh, I've got 4 points left. Okay, so I'm getting close, but I'm not quite there yet. Is not fully charged up to 58, but she's getting... Famous last words, right? Just scale up the side of the building. A lot of times the door frames and the window frames work better. For some reason, not all blocks have a handhold or a foothold on them. Okay, now that we're up here... it wasn't up this high. Last time I was up here, or last time I was up on a lighthouse, it was up at the top floor. But you come out here where the circle is and it says E synchronize. And that's what you do. You hit E. It gives you this nice little animated graphic. Gives you a look around. And it gives you some experience as well. A few points. Okay, and once you're done with that, a lot of times what you can do from this point is almost all of them are up pretty high, and some of them are up just sky high. Amazingly high. What you can do at this point is something called a leap of faith, which, you know, with water under you, not quite so faithful, but when you are over top of land and you don't quite see it yet, or you haven't done it yet, it can be a leap of faith. So you just hit your W key and hit your Alt key, and you take a dive. And they animated that extremely well, in my opinion. And this is the first time I've probably been underwater and shown you this. They animated this real well. We'll just take a dive here. The light coming through the water on the bottom looks very good. The fish swimming around, his clothes kind of floating around in the water. The type of reflections that you get off the bottom surface of the water. They just did an excellent job on the graphics of this. This game just looks fantastic. So in any event, that's how you get the fast travel. And if you'll notice on our map that our fast travel actually has a green indicator on it that we can actually use this now. And since we went through the city, okay, we went through the city on getting here, it gave us this one automatically. Now where Apollonia actually puts you, they won't necessarily put you at this location, they may put you on the street here, but you will be in Cyrene, which is where we are here. This is the city of Cyrene, which is where our Colosseum is. Oh, we have two of these. They give us two fast travel locations, one here and one there. I guess Apollonia is a suburb. I wonder if they've incorporated. Okay, here's what Retta looks like, the Nomad's Bazaar. It's a diamond with that cyan background, and what we're going to do is we're going to jet over there and pick up this little guy here is Retta, R-E-D-A, Retta, and you notice him on your map by the blue camel, which isn't showing because my indicator is actually over top of it, but there's a blue camel over that box right there, and if you were to come over to it, you can interact with Retta, and he runs the Nomad's Bazaar, and you can either buy things from him, which is a lottery chest, basically. Give him 3,000, you might get a rare item or a legendary item sometimes, or a carbon crystal, he has up to 20 carbon crystals for sale for 3,000 gold pieces each. And when you're just one short, he comes in handy. He also gives the daily quest. So instead of seeing the camel on your map, you'll see an exclamation point on your map with a cyan background, that light blue background like that. And you want to come to Retta, pick up the daily quest, and you want to go get that done. Because the daily quest will very often will give you a weapon or a shield at the end of the quest, and that weapon or shield will be at least a rare, if not a legendary. And I've gotten 3 or 4 legendary items from him. Collection of legendary bows. It was this one I got from him last time, and I was tickled pink to get it because it was my last legendary bow. Do find on your map on a daily basis, and he gives good prices when you need to unload a bunch of garbage too. I've recently done that, but you can get rid of stuff that you actually don't want to carry around. You don't want it in your inventory and turn it into cash. He'll allow you to sell, but you do want to come and do the daily from him. And that's usually what that looks like. Sometimes you have to go all the way back to Retta and turn it in. Sometimes you get it when you actually get to the box that people stole. And that's what happened this time. It kind of snuck up on me. I got the reward as soon as I opened the box. Hopefully we got that. Okay, when you're in a situation where you're at the merchant and you're trying to unload a bunch of your stuff and turn it into gold, you'll get to go through all your weapons and decide, what's worth keeping and what needs to be set aside, and your shields. And you're going to come down past your crafting materials and get to trinkets, none of which serve any purpose. They're just gold. You want to check out this button down here where it says sell unnecessary items. That's everything in your trinkets area that you want to trade for gold, and just hold down your V key and it converts it all into gold for you with one key press. Okay, let's see if we can do some basic targeting. When you hit your right mouse button, depending on which bow you've got, it brings up your bow. When you hit your left mouse button, it does what the game refers to as charging your bow or pulling the bowstring back, adding power to it. Now, if I were to let it go at this point, it gives me an idea of how much damage is going to be done. But if I take into account round drop and raise my aim point,
I saw the beasts with my own eyes.
I can get a headshot, which does a whole lot more damage. That's a fairly long shot.
Their eyes burned me.
But that does work.
You
Closer you are, the higher percentage you get. Yep. The enhanced hunter bow, when you charge that with your left mouse button, you defeat somebody's shield defense, which is a good one. That's probably one of the first ones that I got. You hit them with a charged bow shot, and then you go in once they get close with your melee weapons. What we're going to do is I've positioned myself above and behind the camp that I'm going to take down, and what I want to show you is how to aim your bow. You can, with the right mouse button, pull your bow out and get a result bar is what I'll call it. And that'll get you one thing, but when you charge the weapon also, and you pull back the bowstring with the left mouse button, you hold that down and you charge it, you actually get a full bar for a headshot. Okay, rather than a body shot, because I still have the thing charged, but if I come down here, I've only got maybe 34-35% damage. But if I come into a headshot, I can drop the guy like that and have it crit also. And oops, where's my gear? This is what I'm using for that. That is a hunter bow. It charges very quick and has a critical hit rate, which I like more than the critical hit bonuses, because what the critical hit rate does is it says that you will crit more often. I would rather have more crits than just bigger crits. When you're throwing headshots into the mix, this is a good one to get in that early on especially. One is you're motivated to go get headshots, which of course does higher damage than body shots. Also, when you do score a headshot, it'll give you, as you can see up in that upper right hand corner, another 5 points on top of whatever you just scored. So this is a good one, headshot experience. I think it'll average out over time, but that's my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and try another guy, charge the bow, come down to a headshot, get the result bar, and that'll work also. Okay, did that from cover, quiet. For your warrior bow, you have this, which is called the enhanced warrior bow, and what it does is when you charge your shot with the left mouse button, it concentrates the fire down to a smaller target so that what you're aiming at actually gets more arrows on target. One guy left. Let's demonstrate a warrior bow and see how that works. Now I'm not a fan of the warrior bows because that usually means you're up close and personal. Here's what we're going to do with this: is we're going to demonstrate this warrior bow, which when you aim it, you get a reticle of a certain size, which is where all those shots are going to go. But if you charge it, it takes a little while. And the same thing here. If I let go of that, it's going to, launch 5 arrows. Right mouse button, let's go of it. And it's going to get all 5 of those arrows into that one area. Let's see how it works. Okay, here we go. Fairly effective. That was a headshot, and he didn't see me coming. What if someone's charged at you with a shield? I think that's what the warrior bow is for, is up close and personal.
Et percutiamo, Seon!
And those were shots with the warrior bow. Up close and personal. The enhanced predator bow here allows you to guide an arrow after you've launched it so that you could steer it home to your target to make sure you hit it. I've even used this around corners, and it's somewhat effective depending on how tight a corner you need to get around and over walls and things like that. If you're close and you can hide under cover, either around the corner of a building or behind a wall, and if your target is just over the wall or just around the corner, you can bend an arrow right around it and strike them, and they never know you're there. They don't know where you're coming from. Very handy. Okay, here's another tip. So when you've got a predator bow and you have the option checked, it doesn't matter what's between you and them. You can actually fire a bow and then steer it. Like, you could hit him here, but if there's something in between, like this big guy, you can fire this way, hold the mouse button down, and then steer around the obstacles. Yes, you can make a straight shot, but you can also... Ooh, just missed him. That angle was a little tough. That angle was a little better. And you can actually steer that arrow to where you want it to go. Okay, here's a example of curving this around a corner. We're going to show you a technique that I learned with the Predator bow, and that is 2 quick shots to get at your target. And I'm going to see if I can take out this this lead guy over here. So I'm going to switch to my Predator bow, which is not a legendary bow, it's just a rare bow. And I'm going to put this on target, and I'm going to put 2 shots on target. So I'm going to take this one, squeeze it off, and then squeeze off another one, and follow it, and take that guy down before anybody knows any different. And I actually squeezed off 3 because I let go of the mouse button. Okay, just in case I haven't demonstrated it, let me do this again. Here's a Predator bow. And I'm going to take 2 shots at this guy in quick succession to get him down, because 1 won't do it. The first one got him low enough that the second one in the shoulder did take him down. This ability is handy. I liked this one a bunch when I first saw it. When you've got your shield up, which you do with the shift key, which you should do more often than not in combat, is have that shield up. As arrows get stuck in your shield, you pull them out of the shield and you stick them in your quiver. So it tends to make sure that you're not running out of ammo during a fight, especially if the fight's long. The charge heavy attack, when you hold shift and your left mouse button, you charge your weapon for a heavy attack, and a fully charged heavy attack will break the tower shields and knock enemies to the ground, which is what you need for some of the tougher guys to get through their defense, because just going at them, you know, guys holding a tower shield, just going at him from the front, he's just going to keep blocking you, and then he's going to charge up and nail you. Kind of hard to get past those guys unless you've got this one. Here we go.
Hej! Jurytynia! Vismori nunk!
There we go. It's tough to get that thing done, because he's attacking you while you're trying to hold down shift and your left mouse button, and it's tough to move the other keys and get things done that way. But that's it. I mean, I got it done. Am I good at it? No. Okay, for this segment I'm in the isolated desert, and I'm trying to get some locations completed, namely these unknown locations and these 2 forts in the middle, and I've got the added danger of level 40, a pair of them, Phalakatais, patrolling the area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out, I'm going to test this theory. And here's the isolated desert. They're assigned to the isolated desert as far as I can tell, and what I did was I came into this particular fast travel area, which I had before. I'm going to come down this path. I'm going to see if I can light the beacon for this particular camp, and see if I can get these guys to respond to this camp, so that I could fast travel back maybe over to here, and then come down the road and get some of these done. Let's see how it works, shall we?
Whoa. Whoa.
This area is off limits.
Stop him dying!
Combat. Looks like those guys are moving now. I come into here, since that location was located on a road, I might be able to travel faster. Hey, cart below me? Yeah, it's a trip. Looks safe. Let's check our map. I would say that strategy actually works. So we had those 2 Phalakatai in this general area, keeping us from getting these points of interest, and jetting in and lighting the beacon over here drew these guys over to there. So I would say that that particular strategy does in fact work. Okay, here's a helpful hint. When you are commandeering, borrowing, or otherwise stealing and pirating boats, keep in mind that this type of boat, a merchant boat, will get you places and isn't any slower than any other type of boat, but some differences do remain. If you are piloting this boat and you wanted to fire an arrow, you can certainly do that without unmounting the boat. You're still mounted. However, if you wanted to fire a fire arrow, you actually have to dismount this boat and walk up to the lamp that is on your center mast. So you're no longer in control of the boat. You have to stop on a merchant ship. And that, of course, isn't going to make it that far. But when you are on a military type boat, which I just commandeered, pirated, stole, and you are mounting this boat, and you can simply hit your right mouse button, turn to the lamp that is right next to your station, and you can fire without becoming unmounted. So you can still pilot the boat with your left hand on the keyboard, as well as be fully combat ready. And also, these types of boats do have shields on the side, so it's not as easy to get at them. Another thing you might want to notice on these types of boats is when you are choosing which boat to actually commandeer, pirate or steal, you might want to notice that you have this large red vessel, this red jar up at the front. That's full of oil, and it doesn't take a whole lot to figure out that if you shoot that with a flaming arrow, your boat is, one, taking fire and taking damage, whereas a boat like this one doesn't have that and would not. So if you want to actually commandeer that one instead, you simply get rid of the guy who's driving it, dump him in the water, and take his boat instead. Notice I just picked up the arrow off his body that I had fired at him, which is important. So this particular boat is better for your tactical purposes than either of the other two boats. All right. So if I actually wanted to defend myself against that type of boat, I would simply maneuver this into place, turn, light my arrow, and fire up their pot. Maybe add to the problem. Now all of a sudden you've got a very defensible type situation, and one more arrow should probably do enough damage to that thing that it sinks. And now the guys that were on it fighting you are no longer causing you a problem. They're trying to stay alive. So that's something you need to know about the ships, the boats, is that this type of boat that I'm on here with the shields on the side without the oil can on the front is probably the most usable for you. Hint number 2 here. Learn how to be a pirate in this game. Steal yourself a boat, which I think I might have already covered, or maybe we'll cover it next. And you want to pull alongside something, then you want to send up your eagle and scout things and see what we got here. We've got a cache being transported of iron, and if we need iron, being out here, being a pirate is an easy way to come up with iron. So here's how to actually do this. Yeah, you wouldn't say that if you were down here. I'm going to move to my predator bow and just make this easy. And I'm going to switch my other bow here. Now, switch your bows. I got this thing in my face. That was less than smooth. The last guy was really smooth. A lot of times I actually get 4 or 5 hits like that. If you take everybody down, the boat stops moving because there's no one left to pilot the thing, I would imagine. But get good at that. That was not my best effort. And you can just jump on the side of this thing. Sometimes they have arrow refills, but I'm going to make this point in another place as well. But notice that a lot of times you can actually get your arrows back out of these guys, which of course when you do that means you don't have to pick up arrows somewhere else. Now I had a full complement of arrows and I did a couple misses, but out of that trade with them I may have recovered half my arrows back, and if this wasn't on the ship that I could just, you know, get all my arrows maxed out and topped off. If that wasn't on that ship, getting half your arrows back out of a conflict is pretty good stuff. So that's something you want to do here. You want to learn how to do is be a bit of a pirate so that you actually get your materials. I mean, that's 30 iron for how much work? Maybe 45 seconds worth of work. Okay, let me give you another little bonus here. When you have a long way to go, and let me bring up my map. We started out here in C1. We're headed towards this area here to go pick up a quest for Retta. One of the things you can do if you're on an established road is come over to your map and left click on this thing, alright, to select it, put the brackets around it so that you actually have your own selection on there, and then hold down your X key and notice I'm going to cancel road and then touch E, and it'll just follow that all the way to your marker. Save you some time. Now you can't walk away from the keyboard and like go to the bathroom, because if there are hostiles in the area they'll still jump you and they'll still attack you, but it'll save you, you know, from holding down the buttons for 5 minutes. Nice pathing. Well, I thank you for joining me. I hope you picked up some things that will help you out and make your gaming experience in Assassin's Creed Origins more fun. Once again, this is K9, and if you like what you learned here, like the information, do give the video a like so other people have an easier time finding this information, and consider a subscription to my channel so I can do some more powerful things on YouTube. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. This is K9, and I'm out of here.